1st of December, Rabbi Levitt, Gemorrah.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. This. Okay, we were exploring yesterday the Gemorrah in Bava Basra that comes into play in our Gemorrah here in Bava Kama. What's the issue that we had? The issue is the words of the Mishnah. The last words of the Mishnah says Mochra ben. In this arrangement where the father wrote his property to the son, so it says when the son sells, the son turns around and makes a second sale to a third party. Ein lo lelokeach ad shiamosa av. The purchaser doesn't have until the father passed away, but our Gemorrah inferred from there that, however, if it says that he doesn't have until the father passed away, the implication is kimes av, when the father does pass away, miha. In fact, however, is le lokeach. The lokeach will have the property, and that we said was afugav the meis haben b'chayav, even in the event that the son would go before the father, which in that case lo asu lidei haben, that the property in question never went into the possession of the son. And we said that what the Gemorrah says, that's the view of Reb Shimon ben Lakish. But what we see from the Gemorrah in Bava Basra is that there's another opinion on this matter, that Reb Yochanan disagrees in this case. And our Gemorrah brings this as well. That's the Itmar. The Gemorrah brings the Machlokes Reb Yochanan and Reish Lakish. So where should we go from? Should we go from this Itmar, where the Gemorrah brings the Machlokes between Reb Yochanan and Reish Lakish, and we'll try to understand what's the case that they're arguing about, and what's the point of dispute between them?
Where is this Itmar?
I was hoping you would ask that. Okay. So, where's the Itmar?
It's on 88B1, right-hand column. In the middle of the page, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the fourth paragraph. Gemorrah continues its interruption.
Oh, it's oh, I see. It's not. It's a Itmar. Right.
Okay. Okay, so right. So you want to read, Roy? You have the place? Oh, Phil wants to come in. He's calling me now. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning.
Hanukkah
morning.
Sameach to you.
Sameach.
We're gonna go from the words de Itmar on Peches Amid Base. Luke, could you tell Phil where it is exactly?
I see it in your straw.
You see it?
I see it, 88B1, right column, near the bottom.
Okay,
And
very good. Okay, so Roy, would you like to start off the reading for us?
Okay, the itmar, for it was stated with regards to the last case of the aforementioned Mishnah, Macha haben bechair ha'av u'meis haben bechair ha'av. If the son sold the property during the father's lifetime, the son sold the property during the father's lifetime, and the son died during the father's lifetime. Rabbi Yochanan Omar Lo Na Lakoach. The buyer does, Rabbi Yochanan says the buyer does not acquire the property on the father's death. Reish Lakish Omar Kana Lakoach. While Reish Lakish says that the buyer acquires the property on the father's death. So the Gemorrah explains the first view. Rabbi Yochanan Omar Lo Kana Lakoach. Rabbi Yochanan says that the buyer does not acquire the property. And the Ashkol says, and this ruling is not contradicted by the aforementioned Mishnah, as it might appear. Omar Lach, for Reb Yochanan would say to you, Ki katane mas nisin, Macha haben lo kana lakeach ad sheyamus ha'av. When did the Mishnah teach that if the son sold the properties, the buyer has not acquired anything in these properties until the father dies?
Yeah.
V'chi meis ha'av ha'eis leah implying that when the father dies, the buyer has acquired properties. Deli meis haben bechaye ha'av. When the son did not die during the father's lifetime, the lifetime of the father. The asur lidei haben, so that the produce came into the possession of the son before he died. Aval meis haben bechaye ha'av. But where the son died during the lifetime of the father, the lo asur l'dei daven, so that the produce never came into the possession of the son. Ki mayes av nami, when the father eventually also dies, leis le lokeach, the buyer does not have any rights to it. Alama Sava, we thus see that Reb Yochanan holds that Kinyan Paras Kinyan Haguf Damay, the ownership of the rights to the property, to the produce of a property, is tantamount to ownership of the property, of the essence, property's essence. Zavin, hence when the son who owned only the property's essence, sold the property, Leu the day the bin, he was selling something that wasn't his. And then there's the second view, it goes on to the second view explanation. But I suppose I should stop there.
Okay. Okay, we got a lot of words over here. I don't know if it's too much clearer before than it was before we read these words. Maybe it is to you. It's not at all to me. But let's try to understand what's being said over here. First of all, we have the Gemorrah is interested in saying that we shouldn't think that Rabbi Yochanan disagrees with what our Gemorrah inferred from this Mishnah in Bava Basra, when the Gemorrah said when the Mishnah, the last words of the Mishnah were that when the son sells the property, the purchaser will not have, he won't have until the father dies. So the clear implication of the Mishnah here, as pointed out by our Gemorrah, was that, however, when the father does die, then the Lokeach will certainly have an interest in this property. And so, but Rabbi Yochanan says, yes, I agree with that also. But what is the Mishnah, which case is the Mishnah talking about where this implication it applies? The case that the Mishnah is talking about, says Rabbi Yochanan, is only when the son outlives the father. But if the son does not, so then the Mishnah is not saying anything. And we can't make any inference from this Mishnah in that case. And so therefore, that's the way Rabbi Yochanan learns the Mishnah, and therefore he holds that if the son passed away before the father, so the purchaser from the son in the father's lifetime won't get anything. That's what Rabbi Yochanan has explained so far. Okay, and then the Gemorrah says a very interesting thing, which I don't know what it means. Hopefully Rashi will help us out in explaining what's going on over here. The Gemorrah says, after all of this, it says Alma. Oh, so we see, says the Gemorrah, Kasavar, that Rabbi Yochanan holds Kinyan Kinyan Peros, the Kinyan that one has in the Peros, meaning the acquisition, the interest that the father had in his lifetime of the Peros, right? Because he held back the Peros of the property. When he sold the property to the son, he said, but I'm going to take, when he said Ula Achar Misa, he said the Kinyan of the Peros only will be yours, my dear son, when I take leave from this world. But before that time, I'm 100% owner of the Peros, the profits of the field. So that I'll have be able to live out my life with the support from the Peros of this field. And so that's called a Kinyan Peros that the father had. Now that the Gemorrah says over here, we see that Rabbi Yochanan holds Kinyan Peros is Kinyan Haguf Dami. It's comparable. It's regarded as though he has a Kinyan in the goof. It's regarded as though he has a acquisition interest, owns even the goof, the Karen of the karka. in some way, which and so therefore what does that have to do with the Rabbi Yochanan saying that it depends on whether the son goes before the father goes before the son? What does it have to do with anything? This is what we need to understand. So in order to understand that, we hope that there's going to be a Rashi over here. But I don't see. Okay, in any case, we do have two Rashis that we can do over here. Rashi Delo Meis Haben B'chaya Av, the Osu Liyad Haben. This is the first narrow line in the Rashis on this page.
Delo Meis Haben B'chaya Av, Delo Liyad Haben. The son did not die during the lifetime of the father that came into the possession of the son. The Ma'amachar lo Rishon, the Sheni, that what was sold to him, the first one to the second one, all schut. All the rights shetava uyado that will come to his hand. So all rights.
Right. So what does this mean? This means that now what this means as follows. Ma mochalo rishon l'sheni. What the first one sold over to the second one. Now the first one here is the son. Actually, it's a bit confusing over here. Rashi could have helped us out by telling us who the Rishon is and who the Sheni is. I don't know whether he means the first sale or the second sale, or maybe he means both. Maybe he means both. I'm going to take a guess over here that Rashi is referring to the sale that the son made to the third party, and he's calling the son the Rishon, and he's calling the Sheni the purchaser from the son. So when the son sells the property to this third party, that the son, what is the son's right to this property? The right to the son's property was what the father deeded to his son. He said, "I'm deeding you this property. According to the way Rashi explained it, you're going to have the Karen of the property from today, but the peiros of the property you're not gonna have any ownership interest in until I take leave from this world, and then you'll be able to have it." So like that, when the son sells, and now what is the son selling over here? He's Rashi doesn't tell us that either. The Gemorrah doesn't discuss this either. But presumably it's talking about the peiros. The question of our Gemorrah over here seems to be the peiros, because that's what the son does not yet own. As long as the father's alive, the son doesn't own any part of them. So if the son, but he will own, the son will own them when the father passes away. So now what happens when the son sells that interest in the peiros to a third party in the father's lifetime? Obviously in the son's lifetime, he's giving him this document right now. But what is Rashi telling us over here? Rashi's explaining the view of Rabbi Yochanan, that Rabbi Yochanan says the son does, when the son says he's giving the third party the rights to the peros, he's only giving him the ma machalo rishon l'sheni, what that the rishon, the son, gives to the sheni, the purchaser, kol schus shetabol liado, only the propriety interest that comes into his hand. What propriety interest came into his hand? Nothing came into his hand right now. The father's the sole owner of the peros. So if the son is going to predecease the father, so then it comes out that the son never got in his hands any propriety interest in the peros. So even if the son sold his interest in the peros before he passed away during the father's lifetime, according to Rabbi Yochanan, the son, once he passes before the father, it's never coming into his hand. And according to Rabbi Yochanan, he understands that the terms of this sale that he made to this third party are that whatever comes into my hands, this is what I'm going to sell you right now. But so therefore, we understand now that Rabbi Yochanan holds that this, what the Mishnah says, that implying that the purchaser will acquire the right to the peros when the father does pass away, that is only when the son outlives the father. Because like that, the peros, the rights to the peros do come into the hands of the son when the father passed away. So then the son gets it according to the terms of the deed that the father gave to the son. He said he wrote him a deed to that la'achar misa, he's going to get, the son is going to get the peros to the property. So if the father goes first, so then the son is going to get the propriety interest in the peros also at that point, and according to the sale that the son made of those peros to the third party, now the third party is gonna acquire the peros of the property over there in that case. But if, according to Rabbi Yochanan, that's only because the son outlived the father. If the son does not outlive the father, so then according to Rabbi Yochanan, we understand that that sale the son made is not going to give the purchaser the peros of the property. That's the way I understand it. Now, what that has to do with kinyan of peros, kinyan of guf, I don't know, because according to what we've already explained in Rashi, we see the reason what Rabbi Yochanan holds what he holds. So we'll have to go further on that one. And the next, we got a Rashi right here. The next Rashi, kinyan peros. Got 4 words over here to help us out. Okay.
How you kinyan of the parents is a kinyan to the father, to the parents.
Kinyan peros, kinyan haguf. Kinyan peros, shahayu kenuyin la'av. This kinyan peros that were kanui, that were acquired to the father. Because remember, at that time that even after the father gave his deed to the son, his right, the son, to the property was only in regard to the Karen, but the father was holding back during his lifetime a 100% kinyan in the peros of the property. So that's what Rashi's saying over here. The kinyan peros that we're referring to is the kinyan peros that the father held back to himself as per the document that he wrote to his son. Shahayu knuyin la'av leperos. So therefore the Gemorrah says Alma. So we see over here that based upon what Rabbi Yochanan says, we see that Alma Kos Savar, that Rabbi Yochanan holds Kinyan Peros, this ownership of the Peros that there was to the father, even after he deeded his property to the son. Kinyan Haguf Dami, it's like a Kinyan Haguf. Oh, very nice. But what does that mean? So let's take a look at Rashi. Oh, there's no Rashi. What are we supposed to do over here? We're in the dark.
Is there another commentary somewhere?
Well,
Or something else?
we have two choices. Either we could do some research and take a look. We'd have to look in the Gemorrah in Bava Basra, which brings this machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, and perhaps over there we'll find a explanation on this expression that kinyan peros is kinyan aguf dami. That's what we want to know. We want to know what does that mean, and what does it have to do with this machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish over here.
Kinyan Peros to Kinyan Guf Dami, doesn't that mean that the person who owns the Peros is the one who owns the entire property?
But he deeded the Karen of the property to his son.
So that's according to Rabbi Yochanan, that is something that only is relevant in the future. As long as the father is the owner of the Peros,
Yeah.
it's as if he was the owner of the Guf also. Therefore, if the son sells the property, he hasn't done anything because he doesn't own the property.
But what does that mean? Kinyan, why does it mean that if you own the Paris, you own the goof of the property? It's not true.
What about if
Property is divided into two categories. There's the goof of the property. Somebody owns the property itself, and somebody's got the right to the Paros. Why should what is this? It clearly doesn't mean. It clearly it does not to be meant literally.
so?
It
What
clearly
about
doesn't mean. It means like the Gemorrah here says, kinyan aguf dami. It's regarded as though he was he has a kinyan in the goof of the property. Now, what would be if the father actually had a kinyan in the goof of the property? What would we say if the son wanted to sell the property to any part of it, the Karen or the Paris of the property? How would that work? As long as the son doesn't have any interest in the property right now, so he's got nothing to sell. The only time he has something to sell is if he has some interest in the property. If in halacha we regard the owner of the Peros as also the owner of the goof, we regard it as such. So that what that means is, as in halacha, in regard to a sale that the son will make to a third party, we look at it in halacha as though he doesn't really have even he certainly doesn't have the Peros to sell right now, doesn't have no interest in the Peros. That's only until the time the father dies. But we would think we would
What if the
Very
if-
curious to me.
what if the field is sort of like loaned in a way to the father, so that his parents could be could grow. If it's like a
That's what-
loan, rather than so that the son still owns the field, but there's a person who is using the field as a loan, which is his father.
Well, so that's a different case.
Oh, all right.
It's not simply that the father has permission to use it's not over here. We're not saying simply that the father says, and I have official permission to use the field and make profits from the field. The father has a kinyan in the peros of the field. He owns the peros of the field. The son does not own them. Only like that do we say this principle that since the father owns the peros of the field, so then in halacha we regard it as though he has a kinyan, an ownership of the keren of the karka also.
Mhm.
Now, I'll tell you another problem that I have if you want to get really confused. What is the issue over here that Rabbi Yochanan says that the purchaser doesn't, the purchaser does not, he's not going to acquire if the son goes before the father? Are we talking only about the peros, or are we also talking about the keren itself? This has to be clarified.
And it seems like Rabbi Yochanan is saying that the keren and the peros have the same din. That's what Yochanan said. But then we haven't got to Reb Shimon Lakish yet. He may say the opposite. This seems to be the can be the point in dispute.
No,
Because
in
that's
other
what the
words,
dummy is. He said the kinyan payroad is kinyan kaguf dummy. That's
No,
what
that's-
Yochanan said.
okay, and
They are the same.
therefore,
What?
and therefore, when the
Therefore,
son,
sells the he sells the peros. He's selling the goof also. That the keren and the peros are the same. That's what Rabbi Yochanan is saying. But that doesn't mean that's what Reb Shimon Lakish says, and it doesn't mean that's what the halacha is. That's just Rabbi Yochanan's opinion.
no, Rashi says that this kinyan peros we're talking about the father.
Right. That the
We're not
kinyan-
talking about the son having kinyan peros, kinyan aguf. We're talking about the father. He's the one that has the kinyan of the peros right now. He even after he deeds to his son this document in the property, he deeded the son, according to Rashi, the goof of the property is konoi to the son mehayom, from today. But the peros, the son will not own until the father passes away. And the implication of the Mishnah was, we said, that, but even though the son will not have them until the father passed away, but the implication is that the son would sell that interest to a third party. The third party himself would have a right to the peros after the father passed away. So we're saying that Rabbi Yochanan says that what the Mishnah says only applies in the event that the son outlives the father. But if the father, because in that case, the peros would go into the possession of the son, and then they would according to the sale that the son sold to the third party, it would go then to the third party. The third party, according to Rabbi Yochanan, he can only get an interest in the property through the son. The son has to because Rashi explained that the son is only selling to the third party the kol skus shetavo liado. Every skus that every merit that he has that comes into his physical possession, and if the son passes away before the father, so it comes out that the son never had any interest in the peros in his hand. It was always the father's 100% for the father's lifetime. And if the son goes before the father, so then that comes out that these peros never came into the hand of the son. And so therefore, according to Rabbi Yochanan, in that case, if the son sold the peros to the father, if he sold the peros to the father, so then the purchaser is not going to get the peros. But Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish disagrees. Reish Lakish disagrees. You know what? Let's just focus on the peros. We have enough trouble discussing let's just, I don't know if it's true, but let's just say that what we're discussing over here is the issue of the purchaser, does he get the peros? Well, let's discuss that right now. And the issue, if we get through that one, well, maybe we'll get around to discussing the Karen of the karka as well.
So,
But
Rabbi Yochanan says that on the basis of the document that the father wrote, the peros belong to the son after the father dies. Therefore,
Right.
if the son sells the peros before the father dies, and then the son dies, the son has not done anything because he didn't own the peros when he made the sale, and he died. Now the sale is terminated. It's no longer in existence. So you can't say it goes into effect because he's passed away. According to Reish Lakish,
You can read Reish Lakish, right?
when
It's
the
coming up.
when
Well,
the
he does. He
father-
said it, but you can explain it now. Go ahead.
when the father said, "You get the peros after I die," he was Reish Lakish holds that the karka goes according to the Karen, not according to the peros. So he holds that when the father says you get the karka now, see, you can't really discuss just the peros, because when you get to Reish Lakish, you've got to bring the karka in, because he holds that when the father says you own the karka as of now, that is the whole thing. He's saying you own everything as of now. That's why when the son sells it, the sale is good. And even if the son dies, that sale that was good at the time that he made it is now in abeyance until the father dies.
But the facts of the case are that and both Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish agree about the facts of the case. The facts of the case are that when the father deeded his property to the son, he said mehayom ula achar misa, according to Rashi said, and mehayom only refers to the Karen. Ula achar misa refers to the peros. So even according to Reish Lakish agrees that during the father's lifetime, he is the owner of the peros. He's got a kinyan. He has a kinyan peros in this property. according to Reish Lakish, it's going to come out that Reish Lakish holds Kinyan HaPeros is lav ke Kinyan HaGuv. It is not regarded as having a Kinyan in the Karen of the Karka. And somehow, which we're going to try to explore in the coming days, I hope, as Hashem, that is supposed to explain why it doesn't matter whether the son goes before the father. Even if the son goes before the father, nevertheless, the son will be able to transfer the peros to this third party, and the third party will own those peros after the father passes away, even though the son is no longer in this world.
So I would say that there's two parts to this property, this field. There's the principal, the Keren, and there's the produce, the Perus. But both Rav Yochanan and Reish Lakish disagree with me. Both of them agree that there's only one thing here. You can't divide it. They go together. What they disagree on is what is the significant portion and what is the insignificant portion. The thing that's insignificant, what it means to say it's insignificant is that it doesn't make any difference. It's only the thing that's primary that counts. The insignificant part does not count at all. So therefore, Rav Yochanan says the thing that's insignificant is the principle. He says that's insignificant. It doesn't make any difference. Who owns that? Nobody can own it. It's not ownable. It's an insignificant part of the field. What's important, what's significant is the Perus. Therefore, everything goes with the Perus. Whoever owns the Perus, that's it. That's the ownership of the field, the entire field. Reish Lakish says, no, the thing that's insignificant is the Perus. Whoever owns the Karka, whoever owns the field itself, he also owns the produce, because the produce is insignificant. Therefore, the son, when the father deeds the karka to the son, as of now, the son now is owner of the whole thing. There's some kind of a contingency that says the father can eat the fruit until he passes away. Fine, but that doesn't affect the ownership. The ownership is completely 100% the son's at that time, and therefore he has the right to sell.
Okay, it's a little late. We'll have to pick this up tomorrow. There is an issue though about whether or not, the big issue is whether the son dies first. That's really the controversy of the two of them. Is the son dies first? Is it off, totally off, not counting anymore? He had no rights anymore, never passed him, so he can't do anything with it. There was never a sale. Or did he get it? Did the son actually get it at that time? Okay, take care.
Right. I wanted to know, I want to know if the fence has to be repaired, who pays for it? Or another improvement?
If the son owns the Karen and the father owns the Peros, who has to pay for repairing the field? That's a good question.
It depends on whose opinion you have. Yochanan would say that the father has to do it, and Reish Lakish would say the son has to do it.
But whoever does it would be the responsible for it, would be the owner of it? Not necessarily.
No, he would be the owner. That's why he's responsible.
Okay.
It's not necessarily, it won't necessarily be the owner.
Yeah. Okay, well, good question. We will we'll
Okay,
continue Be'ezus Hashem.
all right.
Very good, everybody.
Have a nice day and evening and Chag Sameach.
Amen. You too, Roy.
Thank
Chag
you,
Sameach.
Rabbi. Have a great day, Roy.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day, Rabbi.
You see.
Amen. You too, Lou. Shkoyach.
Bye-bye.